Hey guys, welcome back. This is Val. In today's video, I'm going to show you 5 super quick and easy ways to fix AI errors using Photoshop. Now, the reality is most AI images end up with stuff that's broken, misaligned, or misplaced. But not all is lost, and you don't need to discard all of it. So let's get started. Number 1, crop. Now I'm gonna be using Photoshop for these examples. Most of them are pretty generic, so you can use any software out there. Now, cropping is the most simple thing you can do. Looking at this image here, most of it looks pretty good, right? But then we have some issues over here. That car looks kind of weird and funky, right? And also this car here looks kind of a little bit awkward. There's like part of it is upside down, part of it is not upside down, and there is some misalignments and so forth, right? Instead of fixing this, what we can do is simply crop. And since this is 69 screen ratio, we can use ratio 69 and use this top rectangular marquee tool, right? And just select a portion. We can do maybe a little bit of wider cropping. Pay attention to the cars we are cropping on each side, right? So we don't end up cropping like, for instance, like so. So you crop and create some odd issues at the edges, right? Because that can at times feel like you're chopping away stuff. I usually tend to, if you're cropping, either crop, away stuff completely, or maybe just keep half of them, depending on how important they are in the image, right? So here now it looks slightly better. I feel there's a little bit too much ground underneath her, right? So let's undo that. Let's recrop. So we can go for a little bit tighter cropping this time and really crop away this car on the left completely, right? So end up with something like this. So now we have an image that has less of the issues we found earlier, right? They are no longer present. Number 2 is blur. There are a ton of ways to use blurring in your art. One of them is if something looks a little bit funky, like these fires here in the background, they kind of look a little bit overlaid, not super perfect, right? So what we can do is select a portion of your image, just use this lasso tool, for instance, all right, whoops, there we go, and select a kind of already blurry part of the image that we want to blur slightly more. Okay, so having that selected, I'm going to use Ctrl+C to copy, Ctrl+V to paste, use Command on the Mac. Now this ends up as a separate layer, so you can go ahead and choose Filter, Blur, Gaussian, and select 3 pixels, 5 or 10, depending on how far away you are. And that maybe fixes your issue. In this case, I say kind of fixes it, right? Maybe 10 is too much. We can use 5. You can also progressively blur. There are multiple ways of doing this in Photoshop. I'm just going to show you a very simple way, and that is to clone this first. Okay, so duplicate layer, and I'm going to remove all that so we can just see this. So I'm going to maybe choose like half of this, right? And that means I can blur this a little bit more or less. I can maybe add 3 on this. On this top layer, I can add 10. Right, blur and Gaussian 10, or maybe 5 or 6 or whatever, right? It's progressively increasing, and that now blurs the fires away, so they look slightly better. Now sometimes you cannot just blur items, like in this case here we have a car on the left side that looks completely off and broken, not even sure it's called a car, right? So what we can do is select that car using the lasso tool, copy and paste, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, right? This ends up as an additional layer, and then we can use blur, motion blur. Motion blur is slightly different than the normal blur. It kind of blurs in and creates an effect of movement that we can choose an angle and also distance, right? That, besides blurring the pole, which we don't want, I'm going to go up here, create a small here at the bottom layer mask right about here, choose color black, brush, and hardness around mid here, and just remove that from here, right? So we don't blur the pole behind. But now we have blurred the entire car into oblivion. So we no longer see that it's not a car anymore, right? It kind of looks like a car in motion, which is fine. All right. So number 3, next on the menu is content aware fill. Sometimes you have an item that is just screaming to be removed. In this case, she kind of lost her tail and we don't want that. So I'm gonna select that, right? Using here, the rectangular marquee tool. All right. And then hit Shift F5 and make sure you select contents, content aware and color adoption selected. Click on OK. So that in most cases, I'm just going to click outside to deselect. In most cases, this will work pretty well. Sometimes not. Sometimes it will create additional errors, but that is, something you can then deal with either by reusing the tool or using other methods to fix it. Next is number 4, generative fill. This uses AI to fix your errors or stuff, right? And this image was kind of cool. Besides a car that kind of tries to escape using non-gravity options. So what we're going to do is select that car using the, again, rectangular marquee tool, right click, choose generative fill. And then we're going to describe what happens. So what we can do is multiple things. One is to describe just distant building. All right, distant, blurry building. This is one way. We describe what we see there instead of the car. Now we hit generate. It's going to create 3 options that we can choose between. Let me just pause. And one of them fixed the issue pretty good, although it created another issue with the lamp. Another one here. Let's check that out. Looks even better, although it's maybe too sharp, right? And then this third one looks kind of broken. So what we can do is either select one and say, hey, okay, this is cool. We can maybe fix this using another tool, right? Sometimes these tools create new errors for us, or we can generate again and see if it becomes better next run. Let me just pause real quick here. That looks pretty awesome. It's kind of like an old time skull lamp, kind of doesn't really fit. This one looks partially okay. I'd say it's almost perfect. And then this one here looks also good, right? So I'm just going to select this one and go with layers, click on flatten all, and it's done. All right. Remember, if something becomes, like a new error, you remove the main error, but then you have maybe another thing. Let's say you want to remove that small part here. You can always use other tools to fix that later as well, right? So if I just undo real quick, I'm going to show you yet another way of fixing stuff. There we go. Let's remove that. Bring back the error. What you also can describe is right click, content, generative fill, right? And select remove car. Now, Photoshop says you shouldn't really write remove car, but I found that it kind of works. If you say remove car, it's going to remove the car, and it worked pretty well, right? So that is that. And finally, number 5, we have the clone stamp tool. Sometimes we got stuff that we just need to, pay a little bit of manual attention. For instance, this car here on the right kind of starts to deviate gravity, right? It's kind of like, well, we need some more stuff piled underneath it, right? And one thing you can use is this clone stamp tool. If you hold here, select it, then you can select the size, and pretty much we want to place stuff underneath the car. So I'd say around something like that, 100, 150 is pretty good here. Hardness, you want to keep it soft, like 0 if you want soft edges, right? And then what we do is hold down Alt and click once on an area that has some junk in it, like for instance here. Then we can copy that stuff and place it here. You can also switch the area which you copy from, like for instance from here, and continue and pile things up here, right? Or here and add here. So that way you can move and structure things around in your image and position them so that you kind of end up fixing this area. You can also use this tool with opacity less than 100 kind of hard copies around. If you lower this, you can then select an area, let's say this one here, and you can then nudge and add stuff a little bit more in a vague fashion. That can blur your image, but can really add more details to it at the same time, make it appear more realistic. So we're going to work with what you have here, right? darker stuff underneath. And pretty much that's it, guys. And there are of course more advanced ways of working with images than what we can cover in this short video. And if you like this video, hit like and subscribe. Plus check out the free 9-minute mini lesson, 5 AI art mistakes and how to fix them today. Link on screen and below this video. That's all, guys. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon again.